If more of you supported the show, I'd be less sick of podcasts.
The blah blah.
Sending out good vibes.
The blah blah.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
The blah blah.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
108 breaths of deep gratitude and prayers for guidance and protection. And put on a didgeridoo and shamanic drumming track. Shivers or vibrations and stuff like that.
We fall back to previous patterns of behavior that aren't serving us anymore, but it's all we know. It's what's familiar. You see it with celebrities, professional athletes, people who win the lottery. They get this influx of money coming in and they almost don't even trust it and they blow it.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the Grimerica Show. We are coming at you this week with Jessica Weaver, the money queen, to talk about like manifestation and that sort of stuff. It's a fun chat.
And kind of managing your money too, actually, just from a practical point of view too. It's not all woo-woo, really.
Yeah, money managing.
Although there is some God talk, there is some sort of religious sentiment.
And there was like that because they were the ones that they could like help you save money and do that kind of stuff, right? With the multiple accounts and I'm getting ready to try and save some money.
It's good.
Here it goes. I want to buy that land. It's coming. It's coming. I'm hoping within like a year.
Right on.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Yeah.
That's planned. So how's it going over in Gramland?
It's just, I don't know. I'm not really ready for like a foot of snow. I mean, I'm ready for like minus 18 and a foot of snow. Like it's getting a little bit ridiculous already. It's only the beginning of November. So
it did happen fast, but it does seem like it's kind of winter. We had a good fall, right? Nice warm one.
Well, I don't know. Did we? I don't know.
It was hot. It was a hot fall.
Was it?
I didn't enjoy it because it was kind of not great for hunting, and I didn't get any duck hunting.
Sorry, what'd you say? I shouldn't talk over you.
I only went duck hunting once this year because it was just hot as fuck and dry as fuck, and then everything's frozen now.
Well, maybe that's why I thought we skipped right past fall. I mean, it just seems like, and I guess we had that trip that we were on during it, so that kind of, was a couple weeks away, 3 weeks away from like real fall in Alberta. So I feel like we skipped right by it.
Well, there's no way we're pulling out of winter at this point. I mean, I was looking at the forecast for while we're away, and it's like, it doesn't get above zero again. I don't think it's going to get above zero again for a minute.
I know in some years it's like it's above zero till December, January on a decent regular basis. So this is going to be nasty.
It's going to be a rough winter. Seems like that's okay. Winter's good.
But we will be in Egypt for a couple of weeks here. Actually, we might as well talk about that now and just mention we have a UK meetup there on this Thursday night for anybody in the UK posse that can come down towards Heathrow.
At the White House pub?
The White Horse pub.
The White Horse pub.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought the White House seemed kind of weird.
Yeah, no, White Horse pub. Yeah, it seems like a really cool pub. And I called them and they're like, yeah, come on by. And so we're going to meet there at 8 o'clock this Thursday, November the 12th. What is it?
No, it's the 11th. No, it's 11th. The 10th.
The 10th. November the 10th at 8 o'clock, White Horse pub near Heathrow. You can check our Telegram if you want. Actually, I should pin it in the Telegram. I'll pin it in the Telegram.
And then pin it, and then we fly to Cairo the next day, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah. Exciting times.
I'm a little nervous.
About what?
Oh, just, all the immigration shit. I guess we're going to have to go through customs a couple of times, and it's always a fucking pain. It's easy for you white boys, but I'm brown.
Well, you fit right in.
I will fit right in Egypt.
We're the terrorists these days.
You're the terrorist in Egypt. But in the UK.
Not only am I a white man, a single, non-binary. Well, no. I mean,
you're not single.
A cis white man. No, I don't.
You're a cis white male.
I'm not. I like freedom. That's a problem.
Oh
nowadays.
my God.
I mean, I'm just checking off all those boxes.
That's a real problem in Egypt. Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect, but it's going to be fun either way. At least we're going with a fantastic group of people. A bunch of people. I was looking at the Telegram list today, and it's like, I know a bunch of these people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah.
Toured around the Scabla and stuff like that. Speaking of tours, I did want to mention we do have that Magic on the Mountain event coming up in mid-February at Mount Shasta in California with Brandon Powell and Joe Roop and Owen Hunt, along with the conspiracy master himself, Greg Carlwood, coming up from sunny San Diego to, I don't know if it'll be sunny in Shasta, but anyway, he's coming there. We're going to have him on Outlawed here coming up, but we're going to start pumping that pretty hard. So if you guys want to head over to that contact@thecabin.com and get in on one of those events, this Magic and Manifestation one is a popular one. It's a big one, and it's going to be a blast. And we think you should come. Grab a ticket, make a deposit. Contact@thecabin.com.
And then, did you mention the Canyon one too?
The Canyon one. Well, I mean, I'm trying to just sell the
one at a time.
One at a time right now, but we do have that 420 bash coming up in Utah, Zion Canyon, Bryce Canyon, the stars. It is just amazing. So check all that out. Contact@thecabin.com. Which is, I mean, I bring it up because Egypt is kind of a spin-off of that, That's how we ended up going.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a big thanks to Ben from Uncharted X and the Brothers of the Serpent because they kind of pulled us into this one, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So how you been? How's the car? Is it fucked?
Yeah.
Like can't leave the.
Well, no. I mean, it's stuck. I'm not. I mean, it's just snowy. It's. I'm super frustrated with the whole car situation. So I don't even want to talk about it.
Most reliable cars in the world.
Until you get to 300,000,
and
then
then it just fucking
right
falls off.
It's like as soon as it rolls over, it's like, oh, this car's done. I'm like, what? What do you mean? I just put a whole bunch of money into it.
It makes
I
you
just
wonder.
sunk like $2,000 into it to keep it running, and it bails on me.
More than that, I think.
So I just don't want to even talk about it.
It's it makes me think of those like printers that had a set amount of pages they could print.
Exactly.
Makes me think of that.
Like, is that a coincidence? Really? It's 10 years old and 300,000, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Oh, you hit them both at the same time.
Oh, you overheated it, and both at the same time. And you overheated it, and it probably messed up the engine, and you need a new engine. Oh, thanks. Really? There's nothing else I can do. I need a new engine.
You overheated it somehow after bringing it in here to have us fix your heat sensing system.
Yeah, exactly. We brought it in 3 times. I mean, and I tried to do the right thing by bringing it to the dealership, which obviously not the right thing now. I mean, I'll never do that again.
You need to find an old mechanic now.
I tried to keep them maintaining it so that
Here's the thing.
Kind of.
Nowadays, you need to find an old mechanic, 40 plus.
Yep.
Straight up. I don't think any of these fucking people know what's going on anymore. This is more of this Atlas Shrugged thing, I'm telling you.
Here's the weird, now that we're talking about it, here's the weird part. It had never misfired on me at all. So I was like, what are you talking about misfiring? I've never had that happen. So I'm like, it still, to me, was running okay when I got it back from them when they said it needed a new engine, except the heater wasn't working and the temperature gauge is up and down. And I'm like, okay, well, is this part of the main problem, or is this a separate thermometer thing, or what do you call it? Not a thermometer, but thermostat. Oh, no, this is part of the bigger problem. I'm like, well, it still hasn't driven that bad. And then one day I took it to your place and it did start misfiring. So I was super disappointed. So the engine light is flashing and it is misfiring. And I'm like, well, that kind of ruins my sort of theory that maybe it's running better than I thought. But then it flipped back to the engine lights not flashing and it's not misfiring. How does it go from misfiring sometimes to running fine again? Not that the heater's working properly, like it's not running completely fine, but how does it flip back and forth? Isn't it either misfiring or not?
Makes me think it's like a little computer chip.
A what?
Computer chip or something.
Yeah.
Or a sensor or something weird like that.
Does that make any logical sense at all, that it can just flip back and forth on me?
Maybe it does. I don't know enough about cars and engines.
Sometimes it misfires and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, I don't think so.
The way
Here's
the
the thing.
coils are, the spark plugs.
I don't think that was the case 20 or 30 years ago. if you started misfire and you just misfired and you replaced a spark plug or a cord or a distributor cap and everything was hunky-dory. I remember doing all that stuff back in the day. But nowadays, I pop the hood on my truck and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on in there. I can't even see where the spark plugs go. And there's little computer chips everywhere telling things to do things.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you. But I'm really having a hard time emotionally with it because I really was putting, like, I was really planning on having it.
You're gung-ho.
Driving it into the ground pretty much for a couple years, you know, going to 400,000 or 500,000. Didn't want to buy a new car. I don't want new payments. Just keep it simple. And then I'm like, fuck. So I'm going to probably, once I get a little bit more money, I'll have somebody take another look at it. And maybe there is a simpler solution, but right now I'm okay for now. So
second opinion. It's winter anyway. You know, it's a season of hibernation.
Yeah.
I was out snow machining already, got stuck already.
You did?
Yeah. I got stuck in some deep snow. Those drifts are pretty deep. It was fun.
You got stuck in some deep snow?
Yeah, in
your truck?
On my snow machine.
In your snow machine. Oh, in your snow machine. Oh, I had
the snowmobile out. There wasn't quite enough snow yet. There's a lot of sparking and stuff on the street, but it's fucking fast, dude. That was the first time I had it out since I bought it. And I never even got it up to top speed yet, but it fucking flies. And now there's a bunch of snow.
And it's an old ancient one too.
It's 2000. It's a 2000, but it's only got like 1,400 kilometers on it or something like that. And the engine was just rebuilt before I bought it. It fucking cruises. I can't wait. When I get back, there should be a bunch of snow and we go proper fucking riding. But it's pretty good. I was pretty happy with it. I'm pretty happy with it.
Awesome.
Have you ever driven one?
No, I was on one when I was a kid. Oh yeah, I've probably driven one over time, but as a kid, I remember snowmobiling as a kid, like a real youngster, like going on the back of them, like as a small little kid, like probably 5, 6 years old, 7 years old, something like that.
Ooh, I can't wait to get you out. It'll be fun. You did great on the dirt bike. I wonder how the dirt bike would go in the snow. Needs new. Well, I did put a new back tire on it, so I feel like it's parked for the year. Shot a deer though.
Oh, yeah. That was a pretty big deer.
It was a pretty big deer. You know, I swear the 9-point I shot was bigger than it, but this is 11 points, so it's got more points than
wow.
any of the deer I shot yet. One of the elk I shot was 11 points and a deer, so I shot a 10-point deer and a 9-point deer.
Wow.
I'd like to get like
they look pretty big, yeah.
That was a good size, and it was like the weather was a disaster. We left here, well, you were babysitting. So we left here, drove down. It was like snowy roads and shitty the whole way down. Then down there was just nice and clear. I think I got to say, we shot that deer within 2 hours.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how quick you're like, oh yeah, I've got one.
Yeah, well, we seen some does and left them be. And then just a few minutes later, seen him right off the side of the road. Shot him right, like, I was probably 10 feet away from the truck.
You're not allowed to do that, are you?
What? As long as you're not on the road, it's fine.
Really?
Yeah, you just got to be. So if it's a dirt road, I just have to be off of it.
Oh,
Can't shoot over a road. Can't shoot along a road. If it's a dirt road, you just have to be off it. I think like the main roads like the Trans-Canada, you're supposed to be 200 yards off of. But if it's a dirt road, you just have to be off that motherfucker.
But that's handy. At least you didn't have to, walk a mile on the snow.
Yeah, exactly. It was down a steep hill, but it wasn't too bad because I just used my trusty rope and wrapped it around a pole. And then just tied it around his feet, and Shauna just drove the truck forward and just pulled right up the hill. Now he's in my garage in pieces. Nice. I have all the bones broke down already. The skull broke down. And actually, that's why I was checking the weather, because I have a deer head now that I need to
do something with. Well, I know what I'm going to do with it, but I can't do it now. I can't do it until I get back from Egypt. So you're going to just dump it in the snow?
Well, I was looking at, like, do I have to put it in my freezer?
Right.
But then I checked the weather and fucking there's like, unless something crazy happens, it's not going above like -8.
No, and if you just cover it in snow, it'll be fine.
Yeah,
right?
so I'm just going to bury it in snow in my backyard and it'll stay nice and frozen. And then I'll deal with it when I come back.
There you go. Nice.
Yeah, it's great. And Shauna does all the bone broth up now. So I'm literally using like every part of that motherfucker.
Right on. Good.
I did leave it overnight without skinning it, and I won't do that again. because that motherfucker froze almost solid. And it was a lot harder. Way harder getting the skin off.
You left it out in the outside?
I left it hanging in the garage.
Oh, and it froze in there?
Well, not all of it, but like the thin bits, like the legs, where they're thin, you know, where they're only like, you know, like your wrist. Yeah. That shit froze solid enough that it was really hard to get the skin off. You're almost like flaying it off. When it's warm, you can just pull. And speaking of which, December
vegans out there.
Vegans? I posted the picture of the pile of bones and the skull, and I put hashtag vegan recipes. Do you think we have vegans listening?
Yes, of course we do, dude. They're all over the place. I'm going to be one. I'm going to be one.
You're
maybe
not going to be a vegan. You don't need to get weaker.
Well, I'm on the carnivore diet right now, pretty much.
Are you adding fruit in?
Nope.
I feel like carnivore and fruit.
I have a couple avocados, and other than that, just been.
You should find a high fiber fruit.
Yeah, that's what they say. Yeah, I'll probably do that next time. I'm just not a fruit guy, really.
You're pretty fruity, I think.
Yeah, but not when it comes to food. It's too unreliable.
Self-described metrosexual.
It's unreliable fruit. It's just sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It's sour, sweet. It's like super unreliable.
Fruit is?
Yes.
Huh. grimerica.ca/support, guys. If you can, when you can. It's never been more important to support the show. You know, with the whole PayPal debacle and inflation and recession, everybody's struggling, and we understand that. So what we're hoping is if you're not struggling and you can afford a couple of dollars a month, head on over to grimerica.ca/support. Choose PayPal, Patreon, Stripe, Bitcoin, any of that shit, and sign up for monthly. It could be $1 a month. It could be $50 a month. We don't care. We'd love you for, well, we'd like it more if it was 50, obviously, because it just helps more. But everything helps. grimerica.ca/support. Sign up for a monthly today. Make a one-time donation. Head over to grimericaoutlaw.ca. Check out our other podcasts. We've had some fantastic episodes coming out over there. And we're going to get kicked off YouTube soon. If you're on YouTube and that's how you listen to the show, it looks like there's like 500 people that are still just listening to the show on YouTube. You might want to start exploring other options because we are on strike too. And they do seem to be at this point manually going through and listening to the show, and that's not good.
Going to be something.
There's inevitably going to be a few things in there. So,
like for example, when I read this quote, it's probably not going to go over well to the YouTube crowd.
The quote? Are you reading it now?
No, whenever you want me to.
Do you have an Oppo?
Well, I kind of do, yeah. But my Oppo, my project operations segment kind of has sort of transitioned sometimes into
It's a tranny size.
It's into
there goes YouTube.
Almost like a Substack or article. Like I'm compiling.
Oh,
all
it's
these
turned into copyright infringement.
What? No, I'm just gonna sell the guy's Substack. I mean, it's amazing writing. I'm gonna sort of highlight a Substack, maybe like this one is sort of an operation inoculation of the mind.
Ooh, okay, wait. Oh shit! I got the wrong cord plugged in. Rookie move. So I guess after today, I can break down the studio and pack it.
I think so. Yeah.
What's that noise?
You're bringing your mic?
Looks military to
Just
me.
bring your
Definitely
mic
military.
and a cord.
Flashlight, too.
Dishfire, Prism, Sentry Eagle, Sigma, Mannequin, Artichoke, MK Ultra. Operation Project.
See, this kind of fits in. I mean, when you listen to that jingle, although it's not like an official government secret operation, but it is a great Substack. So it's called, and there's a link in the show notes, of course, and it's Igor Chudov, and it's now what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the V word with the J word.
What's the J word? Jab?
Jab, I guess. So jab-like inoculation of minds with weakened forms of misinformation. Do you understand what that's going to be about?
The vaccine?
Well, you just fucking said it. I'm trying to avoid saying the word. Well, it's more than that. It's,
Vaccines are great. That's awesome.
oh, dude, it's about inoculating us. Well, not us, actually. The rest of the majority against
Us?
misinformation.
Like
Against
us.
Ever wonder why some of your friends refuse to even listen to fairly reasonable ideas, or fact checkers mostly debunk absurd sounding propositions? Some of our allies appear out of nowhere and spout outright nonsense. Have you ever wondered why this is happening? Well, it's not a coincidence. It turns out that scientists, in addition to physical inoculations with jabs, also came up with the concept of inoculating human minds against what they call misinformation. You following along so far?
Yes.
These intellectual inoculations work kind of like the physical jabs, introducing weakened and distorted forms of undesirable information to us, which makes people resistant to all forms of such. So according to these psychologists, the population needs to be intellectually inoculated against misinformation in order to convince unsure and hesitant people to accept jabs. Such inoculations will future-proof individuals against listening to doubters and will also make them accept physical jabs. So check this out. So there's an inoculating against COVID jab misinformation, right? So there's an article above that they're representing here, and it's talking about a field of well-funded, of course, psychological research aimed at people making comply with these mandates. So when applied to the masses of people, it makes them reject skepticism, which is described by these actors as misinformation. And the problem with these scientists, they encountered, unsurprisingly, the problem that scientists encountered, let me be specific, unsurprisingly, was the debunking interesting, engaging, and well-sourced information doesn't work. So a common method to combat this misinformation involves debunking false claims, though seemingly intuitive. Research has found that this approach can exacerbate and rather than correct the negative effects of misinformation. So this is because, of course, corrections directly refuting misinformation can trigger the continued influence effect, whereby people continue to retrieve misinformation from memory, even when acknowledging the correction. So instead of exposing people to this relevant, comprehensive, and truthful sources, and you know what? This reminds me of the UFO problem that we started with 10 years ago in Grimerica, or 9.5 years ago. And part of the problem I had with the mainstream media reporting UFO stuff, because they would report on bunk stories, right? The only stuff they took serious in some ways was the bunk stories. I bet you they learned from this. And the stuff that they laughed about and played the X-Files music to may have been an actual legit story. So they made fun of the legit stuff and they treated the bunk stuff seriously. Let me just continue on here. Where was I? So instead of exposing people to this relevant, comprehensive, and truthful sources, they came up with the idea of inoculating people with purposely weakened, distorted to sound absurd and stupid information. So the idea is that you can build this mental armor or mental defenses against something that's coming in the future and trying to manipulate you if you learn a little bit about it. A little bit, but not everything, said Beth Goldberg, head of research and development at Jigsaw, a division within Google that develops technology to counter online threats. So it's a little bit like getting physically inoculated against a disease. So this technique of presenting falsified and weakened information to turn people away from better sources of information is, of course, highly manipulative and unethical. Are you surprised that promoters of jabs are also developing unethical jabs for human minds? Let's look at this example. So now they show a typical fact check, and it captures the essence of this intellectual inoculation and is a prime example of fact checkers' modus operandi. So they talk about peer-reviewed paper shows Fauci created created COVID, and it's a pants on fire. So that means it's a lie, right? A peer-reviewed paper did not find that Fauci created COVID. That's pants on fire. And then they highlight a couple things like criticized by many in the scientific community. The study did not mention Fauci, blah, blah, blah. So this fact check is intentionally created to spread confusion among uninformed fact check readers. It purportedly debunks Stu Peters' Instagram posts, but its actual goal is to confuse and prevent people from seriously considering the Wasburn-Beutel study. So that was what, it was saying, that this study didn't say this. So that reprint study offering entirely new proof that SARS-CoV-2 was lab engineered is very important. And if you want to know more, Brian Mowry covered it very nicely. So it's just talking about like how important that study is. But PolitiFact's goal here is to prevent you from learning about lab origins of SARS. So PolitiFact pick a low-hanging fruit and is debunking Stu Peters' take instead of a meaningful discussion of the article to cast confusion.
There you have it. Strike 3.
So inoculation and vilification, two sides of the same coin. So with weakened information makes ideas seem stupid. Vilification makes people seem stupid. The goals are quite similar. So in addition to confusing people with this artificially weakened information, pro-jab media tried to portray anti-jabbers as dumb and uninformed. The objective is the same: prevent people from listening to jab skeptic information by presenting intentionally weakened ideas by vilification of dissenters. So it goes on. I won't read it all, but I find this fascinating, and I totally agree with it. This is what's happening when you dig. If you deconstruct or dig into any of this stuff, you get a completely different outcome.
I bet you that is strike 3 right there.
Mm-mm.
Oh, yeah. I'll bet you $50.
You resisted these mass psychology methods. The best paid scientists of industrialized mass psychology devised these advanced methods to close our mind against undesirable thoughts. They succeeded with most people. Not most, but not all. So, yeah, it's a fascinating article. I'll link to it there. And let's hope this isn't our last strike, because I would like to get some meditations and some other small clips that I've made for advertising our Grimerica Outlawed on YouTube before it goes away. But
I would get on that. Strike 3. No, I'm not going to say that. Oh, man, that was close.
It's the profound quote of the week. Darren, can you guess it? It's the profound quote of the week. Can you guess the human who spoke it or wrote it down? Profound quote of the week.
well, I don't know. I'm sorry. This might do it if that didn't.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
yeah.
Darren, you're bitching at me about Twitter.
This is a quote. This is a book from Thomas Saz. It's going back now 20. When was it? 21 years ago. This book was published, and it's called Pharmacracy: Medicine and Politics in America. And this is a quote from the book, but it's pretty relevant. And it talks about religion. And since we were talking about religion in this episode, I've figured there's a thread there. So when religion reigned and church and government were united in a theological state, people perceived countless human problems as the products of divine or satanic intervention, and sought to remedy them with appropriate religious interventions, such as prayer and exorcism, right? When science reigns and medicine and the government are united in a therapeutic state, people perceive countless human problems as the products of diseases and seek to remedy them with medical interventions, such as drugs and therapy. I should note here perhaps that I coined the term therapeutic state in 1963 with deliberate irony as a critical and dishonorific sobriquet to denote the political union of medicine and state, physicians playing the same sorts of ambiguous double roles that priests played when church and state were united. The ambiguity, coercion, and paternalism intrinsic to such a role of the physician sometimes helping the patient, sometimes harming him, is incompatible with individual dignity, liberty, responsibility, and the rule of law. I regard the therapeutic state as a type of totalitarian state. Persecutions in the name of health by doctors replacing persecutions in the name of God by priests.
That's a quote.
Well, what do you mean?
Or is that just from the author of the book?
It's a passage.
So I can't guess.
Oh, well, yeah, sorry. Here, I got one for you to guess.
I was going to guess Glenn Beck.
Yeah, that would be good. But no, because it's from the book. It's from the book Pharmacracy, right? By that guy. But I do have one specially I should give you to guess here. Like, it's a short quote. I want you to guess this. I want you to guess the year and the
what?
The year and the guy who wrote this.
What's the guy?
Oh, damn. It's cool to use the computer, but don't let the computer use you. Y'all saw The Matrix. There's a war going on. The battlefield's in the mind, and the prize is the soul. So be careful. Be very careful.
When did The Matrix come out?
Late 90s?
Late 90s?
Yeah.
So
98 or 99, I think.
98 or 99?
Yeah.
So it wasn't Bill Hicks. Let's go with Alex Jones.
Close. No, more of a pop famous guy.
Joe Rogan?
No. A musician.
Musician.
Pop star.
Pop star musician.
Well, maybe not pop. I mean, yeah, maybe pop.
Well, Chris Cornell?
No.
I give up.
Prince. Yeah. That was in his controversial time before he died.
Would he die of pills again, right?
I don't know. I can't remember.
You can't remember? Well, no. I didn't guess it. I'll try and guess the year.
Yeah.
99.
Yep.
Yeah. Semi-victory. I'll take it. Anything else?
No, that's about it.
All right, guys. We hope you appreciated our lazy ramblings, or at least they didn't annoy you too much. We do need that support. It is important. I know we always ramble on about that, but it is important around here. America.ca/support if you can, when you can. Other than that, let's go to Bio Guy Graham.
Yeah, so Jessica Weaver, she had a blog called Not Your Father's Advisor, and she worked for her father in financial planning for many years, and then she kind of went out on her own, and she created her own business for women. She took on the color pink for her marketing. Looks fantastic. She wrote a book called Strong Women, Stronger Assets, which ended up being a #1 bestseller. A few years later, her second book was born, Time to Refine, A Strong Woman's Guide for Retiring on Her Own Terms, and it became a #1 bestseller. This was when she was pregnant. So this is back in 2017, pregnant twice during the writing of these books. And then she launched Confessions of a Money Queen, which also launched her traditional financial advising impact for women, basically. Millions of women. So she's got a goal to sort of help millions of women with courses and her business to leverage their assets, gain exposure, and forever change the financial industry for women.
There you have it.
Yeah.
Here's hoping. Enjoy the chat with Jessica Weaver.
Jessica Weaver, thanks for spending some time with us. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing tonight? Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Pretty good. Pretty good. Getting all ready for winter here in Canada. So it should be interesting.
Yes. It's getting cold here too. I'm down in the States in New Jersey. Ready for an icy winter.
Yeah. So this topic is a little bit out of our wheelhouse as far as like regular topics go. But what really attracted me to like actually just going for this is the way you talk about mindset and spiritual and philosophical aspects about money, you know, and I do think that this is a really important topic. So I'm looking forward to digging into it with you.
Oh, I can talk about this for days. You won't have enough time for me to talk about this, but especially with so much uncertainty going on with that coming off of the pandemic, high inflation, jobs, income, the markets, politically, this is where people need to hear this message more than ever.
Yeah, I agree. So do you want to start with a bit of your background and how you kind of came into like, you know, your book is The Confessions of the Money Queen, right? Your latest one. So,
Yes.
you know, what is a money queen? Why you kind of use that? Maybe your journey into like how you wanted to help women and people out with this problem.
Sure, I'd love to talk about that, Graham. I started out in the financial industry in 2010, but I like to say I grew up in it. I've been a wealth advisor since 2010, but my father's been a wealth advisor for over 40 years now. So I remember being on my family room carpet, stuffing envelope mailers for my dad when I was 8 years old. And I often did work in the summer internships with him every year. So I kind of knew this was going to be my path going forward. I loved being able to kind of help and coach people. I just didn't know it was going to be in regards to money. So I started off right out of college, joined the industry, joined my father's firm at the same time as my brother. But right away, I was the only woman financial advisor in his firm. There were multiple other male advisors. So it took me a while to figure out where do I fit in here. And women are about 18% of financial advisors. So it was very hard to find other women advisors who would mentor me, kind of take me under their wing. Also, only 10% of advisors make it their first year. It's a very cutthroat industry. It's an oversaturated industry. So again, trying to find out where I fit in, how I can really make change. And within a few years, I noticed that women weren't really engaged in the meetings. They weren't showing up to the calls. There's a disconnect between how we're talking to the women and how the women were receiving the message.
Is this your customers or your peers in the business world?
It was our clients, yes.
Your clients,
our customers.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for asking that.
Yeah.
So I started just having events for women, just to get them engaged, give them the education so that they feel they could be a part of the conversation. So, you know, having things like this, talking about money. And those really started to take off. I started my blog, Not Your Father's Advisor, which led to the writing of 3 books, all geared around women and money, each one a little different. The first one, Strong Women, Stronger Assets. I decided to write the day after I found out I was pregnant. And I promised my husband I would get the book done before the baby came. And I did. It became a bestseller. We got it published. And a month or 2 later, my daughter came into the world. Our second book, Time to Refine, is more around retirement for women. And my son, I found I was pregnant the day after that book launched. So both kids were part of both books, which was neat. And then the third book that we're talking about tonight, Confessions of a Money Queen, I wrote that book in a week. My other books took a few months, several months to a year. This book was a week. I came home on a Friday. I said to my husband, I've written 8 chapters. He said, I didn't even know you were writing a book. And 2, we're not having a third baby with this book. We're done with kids. We're definitely done with kids. COVID taught us what we can handle, what we can't handle. So this book, to me, was a gift straight from God. It was a download from God.
That's what I was just going to ask you. I was just going to ask if it was, because we have, quite a few of our guests have this experience.
It's it's an amazing experience when this happens. And I'm sure everybody who's listening, I'm sure both of you guys have had a moment where you just were so inspired to take an action. And when you actually went through with that action, you reaped the benefits. And I have to tell you, writing this book, it was the busiest time of my career ever. We just had our second child. It was COVID. We were switching our financial firm, our broker dealer at the time. And it felt like God was saying, you need to put all of that on pause and get this out. And this book has completely changed my world, how I work with people, how much I bring God into conversations about money, even with my clients. And now we have a huge team of financial advisors at our firm now, all women. It forced me to start my own financial firm, built for women by women. It's launched this huge PR campaign where we're doing different interviews. This week alone, I think I have 3 different PR interviews. So every week we're meeting with the media. We're getting huge speaking engagements on stages. It's just launched everything in my world. So it's kind of getting chills even thinking of looking back, reminiscing on it.
That's not long ago, right? When did the book come out? Last year?
The book came out last year, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty
And my old financial firm, broker dealer, did not want me to publish this book. They made me sit on it for 10 months until finally I said, if you're not going to let me do something with this, I'm leaving and starting my own firm.
Wow.
And that's what I did. That's what I did.
Good for you. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
It's too bad you didn't get you didn't have their support after you already putting out a couple books. Like it could have been sort of a part of them, but instead it's probably better that it happened this way. I bet. Is that
looking back, I'm like, this is how God always intended it to happen.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
What were some of the things that you first realized when you said like women weren't getting involved and you started to do events with women and you started to kind of help them out specifically a little bit? What were some of the things that you saw were trending with them being sort of not involved or interested or influenced, or what was going on there, do you think?
That's an interesting question. I don't think I've ever been asked that, but it's a great point to bring even to our women advisors now. A lot of it was, how does money relate to me? I hear these financial terms, annuities, stocks, mutual funds, all this stuff. It sounds great, but how does it relate to me? And that's when I just started becoming a storyteller with my clients through my books, bringing to life these different stories. A woman going through a horrible divorce where her husband basically lost everything. And now she's going through a divorce and there's nothing to even walk away with. So how is she going to get back on her feet, not just for herself, but for her children? That would spark some inspiration or motivation, wanting a better life for themselves, for their kids, the next generation as well. And so I would say is relating to them, the stories, and what are their actual fears and concerns that are going through their minds. And a lot of women have a huge fear of losing their financial independence, especially single women. They feel it's all on them to make these huge financial decisions. And if they pick wrong, there's no one there to bail them out. So they really needed that advocate, that partner that, we're more than happy to become for the women, to educate, inform them, guide them along the way, and give them back this kind of power and authority to make these decisions.
When you say that, are you talking mainly single women or married women that even are still in that position, or both?
Yes, good point.
Above, yeah?
Both. So even in a marriage, these women wanted to become active participants in the financial conversation at home. They wanted to bring something to the table. They didn't want to rely on their husbands. It made them feel like they didn't have power or control. They didn't have kind of skin in the game either. Or they wanted to know what's going on with the money, because gosh forbid something bad was happening. They wanted to get in front of the train, stop it before it was going to ruin them, the entire family financially. Or women trapped in a bad marriage. We see that a lot too. And there's a lot of financial abuse or just avoidance, not knowing what's happening with the money. There's some women, guys, the tax returns haven't been filed for 5 years. and they didn't know about it. And now they're going to go through a divorce and get handed a huge mess. So how can they get engaged and really understand what's happening with the finances within their marriage?
Yeah, that's a good point. So what it seems like you've been a hard worker always. I mean, you mentioned when you're younger, you were working for your dad. He sounds like a hard worker. Is hard work like a main component of this too, that you kind of have to take action and just get shit done as well?
Yes. Looking back in childhood, and you guys could probably think too, what was the mantra or what was the saying you heard from your parents a lot? We hear money doesn't grow on trees, or no, we don't have money for that, or we don't have enough time for that. Was there something that you heard a lot in your childhood?
Yeah, I mean, sort of listening to you on a couple of shows, it made me think back to my childhood where I grew up in the 80s, so it was pretty like we weren't poor really, but it was tough. Like just with the interest rates and the property values, we moved out west, and it was like really a bit of a struggle for a while. So I do remember my mom and dad fighting a little bit over money. But I also do remember them like if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well, like that kind of stuff. But it did make me think back to like that's probably why I have a weird relationship with money or fear. Maybe we can get into that later, but that's not really answering your question directly. But what about you, Darren? Do you have anything like that? Anything that's
What do you mean? Like
any phrases, sayings from childhood that you remember, like money doesn't grow on trees, or anything that would have sort of shaped your relationship to it?
Oh yeah, we were poor, so yeah, probably a bunch.
The poverty mindset we hear a lot about. Yeah. I think, and that's usually who are drawn into my world are, and this was my mantra or what my parents really instilled in me is you have to work hard. And it wasn't just you have to work hard for money. You have to work hard for your grades. You have to work hard. I was a big basketball player, played in college. That's where I met my husband. He played in college. And I was in the gym with the lights off shooting, and people would make fun of me. I'm like, this is what you have to do. I wasn't huge. I was fast, but I wasn't tall. I wasn't incredibly strong. I needed to put in the work after hours when nobody else is in the gym to earn that starting position to hit. I had 1,000 points in high school and college. And this is what you have to do. You have to put in the time when nobody else is. And I was even having this conversation with my daughter the other night. She just started soccer, and she was nervous because she's not the best on the field. So I'm not the best advisor. I'm not the best writer, but I will out hustle anybody in my industry. And that's probably the biggest lesson I learned growing up from my parents.
And that's a good lesson, right? I feel like that's missing these days with people sort of quiet quitting, kind of like just, I don't know, just not really taking responsibility and putting the work in.
Yes, the accountability is huge. And it's something, even I have a young team that we've been building, and something we've been instilling in them as well is, this is how we succeed. There's so many advisors out there. We need to stand out, but we need that service. We need that top care that every client feels like we are just working with them. Yeah. That's the experience we want.
Yeah. Do you find that's easier to excel? Do you find it easier to excel?
Service, especially times like this, clients want to know that you are there picking up the phone when they need to talk to you, that you make them a priority. It's like a relationship, any relationship. They want to know that they're being heard, that they're being understood. Most of my clients, they just need to vent it out. And I'm perfectly happy giving them that space to vent it out, air it out. And each time, even if we don't have all the answers on the call, they're like, you just made me feel better. Thank you. You calmed me down. You took me off the ledge. I feel much better. And this is a huge piece. Now I can make a better decision instead of one out of fear, stress, anger.
I think what Darren was saying, because I think I know where he's going with this too, is that nowadays with the amount of because you and your company have a really good work ethic, is it easier because you're competing against people that just don't, there's so many people out there now that just don't have a good work ethic? Or your industry seems to be competitive though. To me, I would think that
that's where everybody's gone to work.
Yes. I will say this. I've brought on quite a few women clients recently, and a lot of them said their advisors said, it's still COVID, and here we are 2+ years later. I'll let you know when I'm back in the office to have a meeting with you. And I said, they couldn't pick up the phone and just have a call with you or a Zoom with you. They couldn't just give you 30 minutes, an hour to sit and talk. You don't need to meet in person to do this. So I think, yeah, as you both said, people have gotten very complacent in their service. And this is when clients need us more than ever, I would say. So yes, we've been upping it. And I think a lot of advisors have been actually lowering their service and touch points with clients.
Seems to be that way across all sectors.
Yes. Yeah. It's really, the good companies are going to get stronger and the weak companies are going to find a different way out.
What's that old saying? Whatever, to those who haveth more will be given.
Yes.
I think it's from the Bible.
That is, yes.
I don't know the rest of it, but
Yeah.
I know it's late at night.
Speaking of the
Get
Bible,
right Bible, but
I mean, does the spiritual, the God aspect at all? Do you have to? Is that a delicate balance nowadays with sort of, even with money? Like, it doesn't seem to initially fit with money. You know, how do you kind of juggle that, like being sort of a God-fearing person and also being a financial advisor and helping women build their empires? I mean,
yes, there's a lot. Money is talked about a lot in the Bible, but everybody's kind of put their spin on it. So you really need to get to the root of it. But God really does want us to have a very abundant life. He does. But society has put so many different beliefs in us that money is scarce, even my industry, right? There's so much fear around money, greed. You see somebody who's wealthy, like, oh, they must be greedy. They must be doing something wrong. And our regulators put this fear on our firms. The firms put the fear on our advisors. And then we're just projecting it out to our clients. Like, you need to work with us or you're going to lose all your money. That's a common thing that you hear about. So I really wanted to showcase in Confessions of a Money Queen, money in a new light, an abundant light that we really were made to have all the money in the world, but we get in our own ways. We fall back to previous patterns of behavior that aren't serving us anymore, but it's all we know. It's what's familiar. You see it with celebrities, professional athletes, people who win the lottery. They get this influx of money coming in and they almost don't even trust it and they blow it. It's this huge new level of wealth that they've never been to before. And their body's going to revert to old systems and they're going to find themselves broke. So talking about money, we did start introducing the topic slowly. So it wasn't this huge shock to our clients. You know, I've been on this path, finding and creating this strong relationship with God myself for the last several years. So I've been talking about it more and more on social media with my blog, Not Your Father's Advisor. And I'm shocked how many of my clients read that blog every week. And then when we jump on the call, they go, you don't know how much that your blog calms me down.
Wow.
During these times. And no matter how much money these women have or men, families have, millions, there's still this underlying fear and insecurity that it's not enough. But when we shift the focus from the money to God, so we're shifting from the lack to more abundance energy, they start to feel so much better. And when they're in that space, they can make better decisions for their life.
So speaking about abundance and scarcity, how do we, like you mentioned, you know, famous people say how they end up getting an influx of money and then they end up just living, they increase their lifestyle, they live within, you know, they increase their, they start living still, or maybe not even within their means, but it almost seems like that is it's an abundance way of living in a way. So how do we delicately balance that? Like, being frugal enough to be smart enough with the money that you have and not falling into that trap of like every time I get a raise or every time I get more money, I just sort of buy things that I may not need. And in some ways that's an abundance. Like to me, that feels like it's coming from a state of abundance, but it's probably not smart. Like I've fallen into that trap myself. Now I still have debt that I need to clean up, which I want to ask you about later. But how do we be good with money and still not fall into that scarcity mindset? Do you know what I'm getting at?
Yes, I do. Because people will say, oh, I'm going to manifest all this money so I can buy all these things. And it's not actually going to happen that way. We really need to fall into alignment with what is my purpose on this world and how is this money going to be a vessel for me to accomplish this. And that purpose could be to have a McMansion, but most likely it is to change your community or to find a cure for cancer. For me, I know my mission is to change the financial industry for women advisors, clients, investors. So how's this money going to be a vessel for me to make this change in my life, the lives around me as well? I think what you're getting at is really, what are your goals? What are your goals? And it's going to fall into the purposes. What are your priorities? And this is kind of where we talk about this in Confessions of a Money Queen. We have the spiritual, I call them money moves, that we're doing to open you up to receiving more money, overcoming these money blocks, healing any money baggage you have from your past. With the practical side of things, with opening up these accounts to start setting money aside, investing that money and growing that wealth as well. So when it comes to you, it's, what are my goals? What are my priorities? Is it just to spend the money as it comes in? That probably will get old after a while. At some point, you're going to want to shift from buying stuff to you want to buy time. You want to have your time back. You want to give back. Things like that. And that's usually right where women come to me. They're done buying stuff. They have enough stuff. Their closets are filled. Maybe there's some pipeline dreams, but really they want their time back to retire, their time to get out of a bad relationship, their time to get out of a bad job and do something else. Does that answer your question?
Yep. Yeah, kind of. I guess what I was going to sort of build on that question was something else here. I guess because you mentioned that money is an amplifier, I think, right? So if you have a good purpose or if you have good intention, I think that does solve that answer. It does solve the question, really, because I'm in a different state right now than I was 10 or 15 years ago when I was blowing all my money on other shit. Literally drugs and alcohol and travel and partying like it was, like there was no tomorrow. But now I feel like if I had extra money, which I do want to help people, it's really for health and wellness. And I have totally different goals, right? I don't, I want to be, like you also mentioned, comfort instead of just having enough. Like we have to be in that mindset to have, enough for comfort, not just enough. Like you don't want to short yourself, right, with always just having enough. So I'm kind of rambling, but I think what I'm getting at is if I have a good intention and if I have a good purpose, then that will amplify. Money will amplify that, right?
And when you fall into that purpose, that alignment, the money is just going to come flying at you. It is amazing. Like you said, God's not going to give you this influx of money when you're just going to waste it. He's going to give it to you when you are ready to step into that purpose and use it to build something amazing.
Does it have to be for, does it have to be for everybody else, or can I do whatever I want with it?
This is, I feel like a loaded question. There are so many people, I listen to even Abraham Hicks, and she's like, what is it that's going to make you feel good? Let's start there. Is it sitting at a desk working for somebody else that you hate? Probably not. So getting this influx of money allows you to do something that you love, and then you showing up differently, it's going to change the lives of the people around you. So no matter what, there is going to be a ripple effect. So even if selfishly you're using this money to make yourself feel good, people around you are going to want to be around you. more people are going to gravitate to you because you're showing up with a different energy. You're happier, you're more positive
Nice.
as well. So there is, no matter what, there's going to be a ripple effect of it helping people all around you.
Perfect.
No, that's
Did I
a good
nail
answer. That's a good answer. I mean, I really feel like we need to get past this money being evil, and it is necessary to follow our purpose, and it is a currency that wants to be used, kind of thing. It's kind of a fluid thing, right? So I'm not speaking for other people, but I need to get over my fear of it, and which I don't even really know how to identify. I mean, how do I identify what is holding me back?
Ooh. So when you
we're going to have some tough questions here, but
I know. I feel like we're going to get to the root cause of yours right now. We're going to dive in for it. Okay. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like when you look at a wealthy person, is there a lot of greed around it? Is it that they're doing something wrong? I mean, for me personally, I look at a really wealthy person who has a huge money empire corporation. Like, that's a lot of responsibilities. Does that mean I have to sabotage my time at home to always be flying here, there, meetings, conferences? So that was my big aha moment last year that I had to overcome too. So when you look at that money, what's coming up for you?
That's a great point. Probably more of what you said than the initial thing is this similar to what you said. Maybe it's an avoidance of accountability or responsibility or being too busy. Like,
Yes.
Yeah. I
have to sacrifice my time and my livelihood, my
to
health.
manage it or something.
Yes. And when you look at that, that's a very scarcity-minded approach to money. Not necessarily the money side, but I don't have enough time to earn this amount of money. I'm going to have to sacrifice too much. But what if you don't have to do that? There are so many ways to have money come into your life. There's so many ways to build passive income, to build your own money printing machine. But when we have that focus, it's too much responsibility. We have blinders up and we're ignoring all these different opportunities. God's like, I'm giving you stuff. I'm sending you a boat with money. But you're telling me it's too much responsibility. So the boat's going to somebody else. So now we can open up, take off the blinders and look around. There's a lot of different inspiration. And this is where I talk about the money meditations in my book, Confessions of a Money Queen. The meditations are when your subconscious is going to start talking to you. And our subconscious is really God or your intuition, and letting you know, these are the different paths you want to follow, or maybe these are the doors that are about to close on you so that you open the right door. Wow.
Yeah, I love how you build in meditation and that, because I do feel like that's important to be able to watch where your thoughts are going and what's coming up. Like you mentioned, the inspiration for your book. I mean, if you're too trapped in your mind with all these thoughts, you're not even going to have a room for that stuff to come through.
Yes. Again, we're too cluttered in our minds. And I love the science behind the meditation as well, because you're shifting from a state of stress, because usually money stresses us out, makes us overwhelmed, anxious, worried, fearful, all those things. Then when you do a money meditation, you're shifting from fear to rest, a healing state where your blood can start flowing back to your brain. Nutrients are coming back to your brain. Your brain allows your body to heal itself. And like you said, get those thoughts flowing again. So I tend to do meditations at all of our events, speaking engagements. I do it with our advisors every week so that we can act out of a state of rest instead of a state of fear, which is that fight or flight mentality. Victim, we're not looking at all of our options. We're not thinking clearly and those kind of things. So it's been very helpful for all of us at the Women's Wealth Boutique.
Do you have any tips for getting out of debt?
Oh, getting out of debt.
Or should we get out of debt? I mean, have you heard of Kiyosaki's work and all that? Like Rich Man, Poor Dad or whatever, Rich Dad, Poor Dad or whatever.
There's a lot. You look at Dave Ramsey, all debt is bad, right? Susie Orman, all debt is bad. And yet a lot of them don't actually do what they preach because they've earned money other ways.
Yeah.
Right? They're not showing how to become the next Dave Ramsey to build millions of dollars. They're showing you how to basically stay status quo. So the biggest thing when you are in debt is when, yes, you want to prioritize what is the debt that we should be paying off that's costing us 25% interest rates versus 2.5% interest rates. Or as interest rates keep going up, they're going up in the United States, they're going up a lot of places. Anything that's tied to a variable rate right now, you want to earmark to prioritize and get it paid off. But the number one reason people stay in debt is because they don't also save money while they're paying off debt. So I encourage you from day one, set aside, even if it's $25, start with $25, $50. I don't care what it is. Start with 1% of your income, set it aside into an account that you cannot get access to, or make it very hard. Have a strong boundary in between you and that money. Are you taking notes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's why. That's why when I'm looking across here, I'm just taking notes as we go. Yeah.
Set it aside into an account as you're also paying off the debt. Because here's what happens. Everybody, they want to get rid of the debt, so they're throwing all of their savings into debt. But then the next emergency comes up and they have no money to take care of the emergency. So what do? They open up another credit card. They open up another.
Yeah, or you go back into your credit line. I mean, they just want to keep increasing it too. Like they'll just keep you going forever. I mean,
they love it when you're in that spot. You're right.
And then the other problem is that you don't want to pay off it. So you just keep your savings not in a separate place, but fluid with sort of life, and everything seems doable. Like you can function with a certain amount of debt, and you just kind of stay in that rut, or that's from my point of view anyways. Yes.
And in the book, Confessions of a Money Queen, I talk about my stable money saver, and as my money system, we get you saving from day one. And we're usually working with 3 to 4 buckets of money. So one could be an emergency account. One might be paying off debt account. One could be retirement account, investment account, house account, those kind of things. And we start prioritizing, what are your financial goals, life goals, aligning them with the right type of account, and then the right investment vehicle to get the money growing for you. And it's a plan that just keeps growing. So as you pay off the debt, now we shuffle that money into a new account to get it building from you. So it just keeps growing and maturing as you go through the different stages of wealth as well.
As your monthly interest payments come down, you can shift that money into savings.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Exactly. Because you said it before. Usually what happens, you get a raise, you spend that extra money. You get a bonus, you spend that extra money. So this system automatically shuffles that money out of your account. You can enjoy some of it, but we're still going to also optimize that money, save it, so you can really, really enjoy it later on. You can enjoy that beach house. You can enjoy paying off your mortgage. You can do those fun things.
And that's all automated?
Yes, we try to automate it as much as possible. And then on top of it, we do different accountability check-ins. So we'll see, can we increase it from 1% to 2%, 2 to 3%? So it's not just starting the behavior of setting money aside, right? It's a new behavior we're learning. It takes 63 days to learn, but then we're going to continuously increase it. So ideally, we're going to get your income going up, your expenses going down, and we're going to shuffle that extra money into these different accounts.
I think that's a great idea. It's in a way, it's hard for me to visualize because you like to see that one account that's building up, even though it's not really building up. But, because if you split that up into 4, then it seems like you've got less,
That's true, Graham. So what we do on top of it is we track. So then you can see all in one spot.
You track your totals. Yeah, make sure you track that total all the time. And when you're looking at that specific thing, don't look at the small things. Look at the big total. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And it also kind of tricks your mind too. I'm a spender. I like to spend my money. I like to.
Is that why you're a money queen? I don't know if you answered why you're a money queen yet.
Oh, yes. I'll answer that right after. I feel like I'm a squirrel hoarding nuts for winter. So I like to have a lot of boundaries between me and my money. So I have money all over the place. And then, look, we have this amount of money for this emergency. I didn't even think about it because kind of out of sight, out of mind. It's there. It can keep growing for me as well. So Money Queen came up because one, being a daughter of God, being a queen for it. And we wanted to tie in money because, again, money is one of the biggest topics in the Bible. And we wanted to showcase money in a very abundant light through the Bible. There's Bible verses all throughout Confessions of a Money Queen as well. So kind of playing on that, being a queen in God's eyes, that he wants us to have money. He wants us to feel blessed, abundant, to know that he's got our back. He wants this for us. He's guiding us on a path for us. And I even witnessed it last year as my relationship with the broker dealer I was at was crumbling. Programs were falling apart. Everything, as my one coach said, God's unraveling things that are no longer serving you, Jess, so that you can build something amazing. And that's exactly what was happening, which landed us in this position where we've created the Women's Wealth Boutique, which is an all-women financial firm. We brought on 5 advisors within the first few months. We have 5 more to go the rest of this year. So to me, the queen is just this reminder that God wants this for me. He's asking me. He's nudging me along to actually do it as well.
I feel like this could still be applied to non-denominational people as well, right?
Oh, yes.
Really, like it, that.
You mean
whole
like
concept,
non-binary?
No. Non-denominational, like people that believe in all different sort of gods or the source or the universe. Like, you could just replace God with the universe there, and it should almost be fine.
Thank you for bringing that up. We do talk about that in the beginning of the book. God is whoever you pray to, you talk to, you meditate with, right? The universe, the divine, you hear different terms for it. It seems this huge new wave, especially on social media. People are talking about their spirituality more and more. They're talking about the laws of the universe, laws of attraction, meditation. All of these things are starting to come together with it. So it's almost like people are coming out of their closet with their religion or their spirituality. So, but yes, that's a good point. Thank you.
What about let's get into the women aspect a little bit about why it's important for women to create their empire and how you incorporate the color pink and how that kind of came into being.
Earlier today, a FedEx guy came into my office to deliver. It was a life insurance policy for one of our clients, and he's looking around my office because I have a pink wardrobe. My conference room has these huge flower wallpaper around it. There's a big poster of Confessions of a Money. He's like, "Is this you?" He's looking around, and I'm in the middle of a Zoom call with an advisor. I couldn't get him to leave. I'm like, "Yeah." He's just looking around in awe. I had a woman the other day walk in my office. She was looking for the doctor's office. She's like, "What is this place?" She's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Oh, it's my office. What do you think?" It's kind of like my playroom. But most advisors, their colors are a navy blue, a dark green. It's very masculine energy. So I knew I wanted a very vibrant, bright, feminine color. Red is a very bold color, but it can also be a little too alpha masculine for it. And I thought, why not pink? You don't see it a lot. I had hot pink pants on for my first book cover, Strong Women, Stronger Assets. And somebody said to me, "You should just wear pink everywhere." And that it clicked. And whole pink wardrobe, pink shoes, pink lipstick, everything we send out is pink. And we send out these pink envelopes with our books in it. And I see that envelope and I know it's Jessica Weaver's right away. So we just started to become associated with it. And people can tell right away when it's our social media posts, if I'm speaking, when I'm out. I had people run me down in the grocery store. "Are you the woman with the pink in the book?" So yeah, I wanted that fun, bright, energizing color.
I like it. I think it's important, and I think it's very feminine. Very feminine too, very female. Like it'll be your. If you're empowering women to create their empire, what a better. There's no better color.
Thank you. I was actually just at a conference, and a bunch of the men, in honor of me. They're like, we wore pink today for you.
I used to have a couple pink items.
Used
I haven't
to.
brought them out lately. Well, I still got them. I just haven't worn them. The other day I pulled it out. I'm like, wow, that is bright. I don't think I could wear that these days.
Oh, of course you can.
Just not high enough.
I'm sorry.
What's that, Darren?
I said just not high enough.
No, come on. So how do women creating their empire balance families and because it does seem like you're very family orientated as well, pregnancy
Yes.
and all that kind of stuff. I mean, how does that play into it? Because there seems to be a real kind of, I don't know, a little bit of movement sort of back to family focus now. Maybe we've gone away from it a bit and people are sort of moving back in that way. I think it's good timing for you as well to
Who's
catch the
moving
women
back
coming
in that
back
way?
to family. What's that?
Who's moving back?
Moving like it's kind of gotten women sort of. I think there was pressure to be single and to do it on your own, and you don't need a family, and you can.
Oh yeah, I
Be
think
that
that's
single
mounting. Not, I don't think that's let up. I think
I
that's
think it's going
mounting.
back to I think it's moving back towards like family focus. But you can have both, right, Jessica? I guess
I strive to have both every day. And I'm not saying that it's a perfect balance every day. I think it's more a pendulum where like tonight I'm doing different PR interviews. So the pendulum swings from work, and then one week I might be at home more with the kids. But as long as I'm still swinging and I'm still making an effort for both, it is very important to me. I grew up with my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she always told me that her mom, so my grandmother, had 2 TV shows in the DC area. It was a children's TV show with her standard poodle, and then she had a woman talk show. And this was in the 60s and 70s, but this was very rare. But my mom always said to me, her mom picked her career and my mom picked family. So it took me a few years to realize that was a huge limiting belief in my mind, that I couldn't have both. I really did have to pick. And I burnt myself out after our first daughter. I was working 3 evenings a week on Saturdays because as an advisor, that's just what the norm is. You meet your clients after work on the weekends whenever they can see you, and you don't say no to anybody. You don't set boundaries. And I ended up having postpartum depression and anxiety pretty bad several months after, almost a year after. It took me months to actually address it and get help for it. And then when I was pregnant with my son, it came back. So I knew that I couldn't be a good mom and a good advisor if I didn't take time for myself. And I think this is probably the biggest move. It is actually more of that time alone so that I can be mentally fit to take care of my kids and have the energy to be at work as well. So I take an hour every morning to meditate, sit with God, do my journal work, read the Bible, whatever I need to do to get going on the day and to kind of start the day on my terms as well. But it's true. There's a lot of dual income families. Both parents are working these days because one, inflation, we have to. Kids are expensive. Where we live is expensive. I'm so grateful to have a very supportive husband, and my mom and my mother-in-law are always here helping with the kids if we both are at work, or I've been traveling more and more for work as well. So right after this, I'll pop into my kids' rooms and give them a kiss goodnight, but they also respect, and I want them to learn that mommy has a job in order to stay in this house, do what we want to do and go on these trips, but that I also love what I do so much that I am excited to jump on these calls as well. And I think that's what I want them to learn more than anything. Yes, there's the hustle and there's the working hard, but it's so much more fun when you love what you do. And that's what I want for them.
Yep, well said. What about what was I going to ask? I just lost my thought there.
How old are your kids?
Remember.
I have a 5 and a 2.5-year-old, almost 3.
And
So-
you're not going to have any more?
No more. We're done. We have my husband's a police officer. He does shift work, so it's a very challenging landscape
Yeah,
between our 2 jobs.
That's what I was going to ask you. How did you get through that depression?
I had a very good support system professionally, which was huge for me to be able to have these conversations with other women who have been in my place, got through it, are successful, to pull me out. I had a therapist, my husband. And then the biggest thing I learned from therapy was I needed to hire more help. I was doing too many things. Even looking from my first pregnancy, both kids, I only took 6 weeks off from work. And I was still working part-time during those 6 weeks. My first maternity leave, I didn't have anybody helping me. I was kind of a one-woman show. Fast forward to the next one, and I had 3 or 4 different employees at that time helping in service. So when I start to feel myself get stressed or I'm overextending, I need to look at who do I need to hire? Who do I need to hire so that I can take the time to be mentally fit so that I can best show up?
Nice. Darren, do you have any questions?
Is that app only available in the USA?
Is that
that system of saving money? Like, can I sign up for that, or do I have to be a girl? Can I just identify as a woman?
No, we do work with men and women, so you guys are good. Yes. So yeah, if anybody is interested in learning that system, you could go to womenswealthboutique.com and there's a contact page. We can hook you up with an advisor to get you going on that system as well.
Internationally, or from?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's good. So Canadians
Yes.
are okay then, yeah.
We can just, it'll be not the same exact kind of account, but a similar type of account, but we can show you how to do it. Yes, no problem.
Is there a bonus
anything
of
that-
not having any debt, so I could just save?
Yes.
Totally.
Just sock away the money. I love it.
Is there anything? I mean, is that like if you don't have debt, is that a good strategy? Like sock it away or invest it? Like how much do you consider? What are some money moves when you've got some money and you plan on saving?
Ooh.
Is there anything else that you didn't really
Yes.
cover in that initial, like making a bunch of accounts and all that kind of stuff? Like how much do you invest compared to just keeping savings, that kind of stuff?
Exactly. So then from once your savings gets to a certain point, you're going to want to start moving and shifting money into different kinds of investments.
That
And
can still be liquid, right?
yes, accessible, liquid, no penalties, surrender charges if you need the money. Or if it's retirement, that's what we'll identify too. When are you going to need this money? Is it within the next few years? Is it for retirement, kids' college, all those different time frames? And then we can align it with the right kind of account. And then within the account, that's where the investments come in. So you can put in different kinds of stocks, bonds, all sorts, or maybe it's real estate. Maybe it's a rental property as well. But we talk about in the book Confessions of a Money Queen, the multitask your money system. So we're looking at how many purposes can this investment achieve for your money. So instead of just one purpose, like grow your money, maybe we can have grow your money. It's tax efficient. You pay less in taxes. It's going to give you current income as well. So there's 3 purposes instead of just the one. Now we know your money's being efficient. It's optimizing all the opportunities out there for it. So that's what we would walk people through. And it's different for everyone because everyone's time frame, everyone's priorities are going to be different. And that's why you do need that custom touch when it comes to that, building out that portfolio.
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
Is there anything that major that we've haven't talked about from your book, or any messages that you want to discuss before we let you go?
Ooh, good question. I know I feel like we really dove into a lot. When I look at money, I look at it as it's this energy. It's this energy, and energy does not like to be stagnant. It doesn't want to just sit there in the account. It needs to be doing something. It needs a purpose. So that's when we're talking about opening up these accounts, getting that energy flowing in your life, and then investing it so it keeps growing, becomes its own money printing machine, so that you don't always have to work and trade your life energy for money. Now your money's doing it for itself and is a salary. But money also energy doesn't like to be, you can't hold on to energy. People try to hoard their money, terrified. We need money flowing freely in and out of our lives. And that's what we really teach our clients, the people in our community is money's going to be moving in and out of your life. Maybe it's to give back, and then you're going to get blessed even more so tomorrow. Teaching people to not be so terrified of money. It's huge. We want them engaged. We want them having fun with money. Money's a game. Let's play the game better.
And then what are some tips for getting over your childhood or past kind of fears, even subconscious stuff, limitations about money?
Ooh, even in our book, we have money meditations that can help release those blocks. We have a whole course that goes along with the book lift that really dive into the inner workings, like you said, the subconscious. So things like meditation really helps. Mantras, we call them money mantras. Repetition can create new brain pathways instead of reverting back to the old ones that it had before. A mentor, coach, advisor. So somebody that you look up to or respect, having that authority can help create new, again, brainwaves, new beliefs within yourself. And then I'll throw in there gratitude as well. Shifting, no matter where your headspace is at, you think of something you're grateful for, you're going to shift from scarcity to abundance. Probably the quickest out of all of them.
I was just telling somebody that yesterday or today that I was like, you got to shift into gratitude. You can't be resentful and upset and grateful at the same time. Like if you start doing these gratitude things, it'll automatically just shifts your perspective.
Yes, that is a great point. And there's science backing it.
Yeah,
depression is less. There's all different facts behind it. Obesity is less. All those things. It's amazing. Amazing.
Right on. Darren, any final questions?
No, I don't think so. No, this has been great. This is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, really, guys. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good to talk about it. I love what you're doing, and I think it's great that you've had a chance to follow this path and create this empire. And yeah.
Thank you guys so much for having me. You've been great hosts.
You're welcome. So we've got your jessicaweaver.com, right? That's your website?
Yes, jessicaweaver.com. Perfect.
And you've got your books and your blogs and your courses and your press, all that on there?
Yes, all of the 3 books you can get there. Any of our courses like the Lift course, Money Meditations are on there. My blog, we post weekly too. So yeah, get involved in our community. We love to help all of you, all the listeners. If something hit a nerve or a trigger that's causing you, follow that feeling. If something keeps coming up in your heart, follow that feeling. We're here to help.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Jessica. Have a good night.
Thank you. You as well. Bye.
And that was a chat. Jessica, what do you think, buddy?
Yeah. It's inspiring. Yeah, what did you think? It
was pretty good. I guess it was pretty good. I'm not a chick that's, looking to start an empire, but I am a dude.
I love your question about, can I just come in and if I identify as a woman? I'm Darren L.
I think it's Doreen.
Darren L from Grimericat.
I think it's Doreen, isn't it?
What?
Isn't it Doreen?
Wait, I don't know what you mean.
The feminized
Darren?
Darren is Doreen.
No, I don't know. Maybe.
Darren.
I'm just making up words. I'm trying to be funny. You're not getting it.
Well, it's just Doreen would have been funny. I mean, that just wasn't funny. I mean, you're just. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I wonder what the one for Graham is. What did they call you?
There isn't one. Yeah.
Gramella.
Anyways, I mean, I don't know. Like she said, they do accept guys, so that's good. I mean, and that it is interesting. I mean, I do like that. I like the strategy. I mean, I didn't get a chance to read the book. I listened to her on a couple shows. Actually, the one show I heard was pretty frustrating because he just kept talking and didn't let her do much talking. But yeah, I like how I don't know. I like how it combines the manifestation aspect and.
What show is it?
I can't remember. I won't say. Anyways.
Why not? You're just gonna bring it up and like skirt around it, and then you won't say it.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
Was it?
It's way back.
Was nobody we know?
No, it was like a religious talk. It was like a religious radio show. You know, a guy that's been doing it for 40 years, and you'd think he'd, I don't know, by now you'd think he'd let his guest talk a little bit, but
nope. Ce n'est pas.
It totally reminded me like of the sort of evangelical radio in the States, you know, that kind of stuff.
Well, it's good timing because I'm getting ready to start socking some money away.
Yeah, it's good
I wonder
timing
how you
too,
pay
because
them.
of
Do you
stuff
think
that's
they
going
charge you
on.
money? They just charge you cash, or
No, they just take a
percentage
little.
of what you
They'll
move
take a little
around?
out of your investment. You know, it'll be maybe a
This is an
percentage
investment now?
or a
wait.
fixed fee or
if the market crashes, does my money disappear?
yeah. It goes. It doesn't disappear. It just dwindles.
You should be a salesman.
Slowly, it
Selling
slowly
fucking
dwindles.
subprime mortgages. It dwindles.
But I mean, that's
Your
I don't know,
ability
is
to
your
afford the
savings
whole.
account is your savings account
dwindles.
any safer? I mean, I guess
Well, that's the thing I go back and forth on, yeah. But I feel like it's just,
it would be a good strategy to get it somewhere else. So even if you needed it, you can get it, but it's a little bit more of a pain to get it than just like Interac.
the way the American money's going against Canadian, it'd almost make more money to save it in American. But it converts into a nice Canadian.
Well,
so it's-
American's probably going to crash though. I mean, when everything shakes out here,
Biddy-biddy.
America's money will
America.
crash
Huh.
unless.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like gold and silver ain't really. What am I going to do with fucking $50,000 worth of silver?
Well, it's an investment, dude, and if the shit goes down, you got silver bullets for the werewolves.
Silver bullets. I'm melting
and,
them down, and where am I getting the casings? Where am I getting the?
You'll figure it out.
Where am I getting the? There's a lot of parts to a bullet. He's not just throw some silver in a gun and boom. I feel like
You need something to kill the zombies and the vampires.
the only plus on that would be if you could take the gold and silver and switch it into a currency that hasn't tanked. But if the whole world's tanked,
No, that's the gold and silver you want to keep for a long, long time. Anyways, that's
like if you come to my house and you're like, "Hey man, can I buy some of your food with some of this silver?" I'm gonna be like, "Get the fuck out of here!
because you remember when
Go
we
get
had
me
John
something
sneezing on.
useful before I shoot you."
You remember when we had John sneezing on? I think and a couple other people at the beginning of Grimerica Outlawed. So that would be like a year ago, and they were suggesting you need some everywhere, right? And some cash. Get some cash for sure. Get some gold and silver, and get some crypto.
I got
And
a
then, of
pound of
course-
silver in a case with a gun.
A pound.
A pound.
How big is that physically? That's
Uh,
quite a bit, actually.
It's probably almost the size of my fist.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
It's pretty. I guess it's only a few $100, like $300, probably less.
But I mean, gold and silver have gone up so much. I mean, you know what's weird? So speaking of financial investing and that, I tried when Trump got elected. Before he got elected, I was like, I want all my money out of this bullshit. The stuff's gonna tank. I want it in gold and so. And this is my RSPs. Like it's not liquid money. It's just money I have, right? I want it in.
Did you get your money?
I want it in precious metals like gold and silver and all that, right? And they did it, and then they wouldn't allow it. Like we won't allow it in that market. It's too risky, or I don't know what their reasoning was. This is a couple of years ago now, so it's like, well, why is that? But I mean, it's super mainstream money investments, RSP or mutual funds and all that kind of stuff, right? So I guess
just want to
maybe
sock
they
away
have
money for a year so I can buy this land finally.
Yeah, but you can make something on it as you stock it away, right? I mean, you might as well go with something like that, and in the end, you'll get more money.
Well,
Yeah, dude, and you'll save it better. You'll track it better. You'll make some interest on it. Yes, I'm telling you.
You promise? Do you want to be my
No.
money manager?
Sure.
It's all gone.
Oh, God.
Sorry, bro.
I paid off my Visa with it.
It's an investment.
In America.
Big thanks, Jessica Weaver, for coming on the show, the Money Queen. Big thanks to you guys for listening. Even bigger thanks for one of our supporters. We cannot do this without you. It's more important than ever that you support the show. Grimerica.ca/support. Check out our audiobooks too. That helps. Adultbrain.ca. We got Grimerica Outlawed, our other bitchin' podcast. GrimericaOutlawed.ca. Could be a 1 hour show for you. Could be a 2 hour show for you. It's up to you. Or I think that's it. Or you can buy my books. You can head over to Grimerica.ca. There's a little tab there. Darren's books. It'll take you over to both of them. I think that's it. Grimerica.ca/chats. Contact at thecabin.com for the tours. We got that one coming up with Greg Carwood right away. It's going to be fantastic. And then we love you guys. Thanks for listening. And we will see you next week.
No one has ever heard a word as dirty as the word politics. Rhetoric written in some self-proclaimed prophecy. Imaginary lines twisted and tangled with a handshake with a signature and some policy papers behind enemy lines. Tension builds, a cell phone rings, a bomb drops in a city street sea of iPod noise. Don't get comfortable, free thinkers. Don't get comfortable, free thinkers. If the digital revolution still got a pulse, we need to revive it and make it a reality. I've hacked into a politician's password and transferred money into several overseas accounts. And as we speak, a supercomputer project is in the works. And if it works, we'll use it to point and click our way to some sort of truth. Either you're in or out, are you game, or is the game over? This must be a glitch in the Matrix. This must be a glitch in the Matrix. A revolutionary dream. It's me versus the machine. Go! Watch out for them laser beams. Climb to the top of the pyramid scheme. Capitol Hill's getting steeper and steeper. Meanwhile, the deck gets deeper and deeper. Don't get comfortable, free thinkers. Cause it's gonna take more than hand and eye coordination on your PlayStation. It's gonna take mind elevation. There must be a glitch in the Matrix. There must be a glitch in the Matrix. A revolutionary dream. It's me versus the machine. Go! Breaking from my routine, I dive into my computer screen. Swimming in a sea of zeros and ones. Trying to put together 2 and 2, but I keep getting blind. Trying to weed through all the lies from the bad guys in the suits and the neckties. Help me find the oracle. She has the answer. There must be a glitch in the Matrix. There must be a glitch in the Matrix. A revolutionary dream. Rage against the machine. Don't get comfortable, free thinkers. Rage against